everybody, we've got two patients coming up in this removal video today. First patient was a lovely lady. We got a follow-up. It was the second patient. That was a really difficult one, so that's worth a watch as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that one, guys. But this first patient, really nice lady, actually watches us on TikTok and came through. She's traveled an hour and a half to come and see us today. What was really interesting about this case, it was a difficult removal to do. Let me just get rid of this. Because the ear canal itself was quite small and the wax in there was quite hard. But what complicated a little bit was this lady had a really, really strong Arnold's reflex. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'll explain what this means, okay? So your Arnold's reflex is if you've ever cleaned your ears, which you shouldn't do, by the way, but I know you all have done it at some point. If you touch a certain portion of the ear canal, what happens is the patient gets a really, really strong tickle at the back of their throat. They get a cough reflex. So it can either present as like a tickle at the back of your throat, a really strong sensation like you want to cough, which is the most common. You can even get it as a sort of a funny sensation in your chest. That can also happen, right? And the reason for it is we've got lots of sort of nerves that pass through that canal, one of which is a branch of the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is a big old nerve that runs through your body. It controls things like your voice, swallowing, digestion, those kind of things. So it covers lots and lots of different bits and pieces. But a branch of that is known as the Arnold's nerve, and that passes through the ear canal wall skin. Now, if you press on that particular portion of the skin, the patient gets this really uncontrollable urge to cough or gets a really bad tickle at the back of their throat. Now, it affects, I think that, let me get it, it's a long time since I've done this bit, but I think it's about less than 5% of the population, thereabouts. There's not many people that have it, but some people certainly do. And what was happening with this particular patient is because the wax inside was really hard, to get to it, we were having to put a little bit of pressure on the top of the wax. And the back end of the wax was just stimulating that portion of the ear canal where that nerve was found. So every time we tried to touch on this wax, the patient would get a coughing sensation. That's what happens. So yeah, quite an interesting one, the Arnold's nerve. But what we've got in here now is you can actually see a very, very hard piece of wax. Now I've tried, we've gone in with a microsuction, we've gone in with forceps, we've gone in with the right curette and the right hook at this point, just to try and remove this bit of wax. But he was absolutely solidly wedged in here. And you can see the skin underneath just dried out a little bit and dried onto the skin. So I've tried lifting it from the bottom, didn't really make much of a difference. Trying to go from the top here, but it's just almost like scraping down the surface of this plug. You can see just how hard it is. So I'm trying to get beyond the leading edge of this plug so we can get behind it to kind of roll it. And that's what we're doing here. So you can see this kind of rolling motion. It's just starting to come forwards. We're going to drop it back a little bit further, back in again, reposition, drop it back a little bit further. So you're constantly trying to roll this plug down. Now we can see the back end then lift up. That's exactly what we wanted to see. There we go. So we turned it almost end over end now. And now we've got this plug out. There we go. You can see just how hard that plug was. There we go. Nice round, kind of almost like a pellet of wax, that one. And we pick that up with a bit of suction. There we go. And we've got a little bit of dry skin left in there now, but that shouldn't take too long to tidy up. So we're going to go in with a fine end, just tidy these last little bits of dry skin. There we are. You can see it's quite dry, the skin. As we lift off this edge, there we go. It's starting to come away. I just need to detach that kind of thin, feathery bit of skin there. There we go. Out that comes. I'm just going to tidy up these edges. There we go. Let's take the excess off. But eardrum looking, relatively healthy. We're missing a bit of a light reflex there. So it would indicate to me that maybe there's a little bit of middle ear fluid going on, or the pressure behind the eardrum is not quite the same as the outside ear pressure. That's what that normally indicates. But this was a much, much bigger plug on this side. Very, very dry as well. Sorry, itchy eye. Let's give it that. So when we take a look at this one, I've started off, patient had been using some oil on this side. So lifted using the microsuction. And I could tell this was just not going to go anywhere. It was just moving at the front end, but not really budging. So we're going to go back in now with the right curette over the top here and draw down and back. Now I could see a little gap appear then. So, oh great, we must be close to the edge of it. And then I thought, oh, hang on, no, this right curette is still hitting wax here. And you can tell I was really thinking, okay, it should be behind that plug by now. And then we go back in. I'm still hitting wax, still hitting the wax. And now I've managed to turn it, but look at this coming away now. Look at the size of this plug. Look at that. That is a long, long plug. We're going to show you it in a ruler shot now in a second. So don't go anywhere. We will show you the size of this. But that was a pretty sizable plug. Eardrum looking good. A patient had been experiencing some ear pain when they tried to clean their ears with cotton buds. I'm not surprised because it would have been hitting this plug and pushing it further back. So you can see that initial plug is just under 2 centimeters, so just under 3/4 of an inch. And then you've got the little bit on the other side then that was holding on. Now, this is actually a follow-up patient. So this patient came through to see Claire. She's our hearing care assistant here. And Claire, in fairness, had cleared a lot of this ear canal out. There was just this last piece that she was struggling to get out, and it was super duper solid. I look back at because we record every single patient that comes through. I went back and had a quick look at the video from the last visit, and I could see that it was very, very dry wax in there, and it's very deep as well. So the patient's been using some olive oil only for about a week, and then came back to clinic to finish off the removal today. And so we're just going to use the forceps here just to pull this section. So what we have here is quite a hard piece of wax surrounded by dry skin. And that's what's holding everything in here. So what we're doing now is just using the forceps just to take that edge. You remember I said that kind of almost like skin wrapping around the outside, just to take that little edge of skin out. For two reasons. It's going to help us to get a better grip on the wax beyond, and it's also going to minimize any risk of clarinetting when we go back in with the suction. So now we've got a grip on that actual wax plug, and you can see I'm lifting here. Look how smooth it is, and that smooth texture, and that's the piece that's been resting against the canal wall, so that's why it's got that smooth kind of texture. So we're actually managing to lift this up, but as you can see, what we have here is layers of skin, then wax, then skin, then wax, and that's what's been holding everything in place. So now we've created that little bit of a gap there. The skin is starting to unravel a bit, and then we're using the forceps to remove those looser bits of skin. That allows us to get in there with the suction and work on the actual plug itself. So it's coming away really, really well. There you go. And this dry skin around the outside edge, you can see as we're lifting this up, we've got more dry skin there again. So it's not really going anywhere when I'm lifting it from the bottom. So what I'm trying to do now is pull down from the top. What I don't want to do is push against the wax and settle it back into where it's been, because it's taken us a while to get it out of that area. But now I'm trying to just work on the plug itself at the top. You can see a little bit of a wiggle there, just trying to work this down the canal. But it's very, very compacted. Let's work the next section. We're getting this ever so slowly, but we are getting there. And the next section, you can see where I'm drawing down from that one end, just to try and pull that wax debris further down. Just going to grab this end. I'm not looking to try and remove the wax with the forceps. I'm looking to try and get rid of these looser sort of protrusions, if you like, of skin coming off the front end, just to try and help out with minimizing any risk of clarinetting. So now we've got the oil gone in now, and we're just trying to loosen this edge here. There we go. You can see that skin now is starting to soften. Now the oil's gone in. We removed a little bit of wax there. Back in now. Let's see if we can get this this little bit of skin going. Oh, it's almost there. It's really holding on. This is what happens when you get these deeper plugs. Now, wax doesn't normally form this deep, so I would have said the patients definitely use some cotton buds to clean their ears. Gone in there to try and get this out, and it has impacted the wax and skin further in. So what's happened is you've ended up with a lot of a really kind of densely packed plug sitting in there, and because the skin's always trying to get out, it's always trying to migrate out of the ear canal, it hasn't been able to get past the edges of this really dense plug. So you've ended up with this really hard mixture of wax and skin. But we are starting to break everything down, and there we go. We can start to see the plug now moving forwards. And it's breaking little bits off just as we get to the entrance, because it has been compacted into that specific, that very specific space. As you move it down and the ear canal changes shape slightly, it just loosens the edges, so it allows that wax and skin plug to kind of just start to tease apart a little bit. Almost there. And a bit more of a wiggle. There we go. It's getting there. It's really getting there. So we're going in now with the right curette just to scoop this last section forwards. There we go. That was the plug we've been working on. It was quite a dense old plug. You can see a bit further in now. We can see the eardrum. There's a little bit of debris just at the entrance to the canal. So we're going to tidy all this up now. Just get it looking nice and healthy in there. There is actually a little bit of dry skin we've got to peel away a bit later on. You'll see that coming in a second. There we go. So it starts off with this little ridge. You can just see at the bottom right corner there in the screen. That's actually a layer of dry skin. So we've got this little bit of wax, the last bit of wax debris. And I thought, oh, this is going to come away. It's only a small little bit. But watch as we start to lift. There you go. Look how that is all connected. So basically, it's peeled all the way up the right-hand side, across the bottom of the canal as well. That is a big chunk of dead skin. Ideally, we need to try and get most of this away if we can. It almost goes like a very thick cling film. That's what it kind of feels like. And it's hanging onto the canal wall. So what I always try and do with this kind of stuff is I introduce a little bit of olive oil. And it does make a big old difference when you're peeling this skin away. Watch now as we peel all this. Look, it's going all the way across the bottom there. There it starts to break away. I'm just holding the suction in place, letting everything come towards the suction tube. And there we are, the eardrum looking really healthy. So this is what we removed from that follow-up. So we've got 1 3/8" there, I'm going to say bang on 3 centimeters, that one. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching our video again today. We really do appreciate you guys watching it. If you do like it, don't forget you can always like, heart, share, follow, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. That'd be absolutely fantastic. If you really enjoy the wax removal videos, you can also consider becoming members of the channel as well. That way then you get to see an extra 2 compilation videos every single week. And yeah, we enjoy making those, so you'll get to see us voicing them over as well. But in the meantime, guys, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of your ears, and take care of one another. And I'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.